What's happening, everybody? I hope you're all doing good today. So we're going to be turning up a fabric scrap Micarta pen today. I've had this blank for a long time, and I've just kind of been waiting on it, waiting for the right time, and it seems like today's the right time. So I'm excited. It's the same material as the bowl, actually, that Doug won in that auction that went to the MS Society, the funds from that. So it should be pretty fun. I've been kind of anxiously awaiting this. It just, like I said, never was the right time, I guess. So I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. Lots of little announcements and things. So first things first, I'm going to be going out of town on, I think the 22nd is like when we leave town. And I'm going to be gone till about November 3rd. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that to anybody that needs any pen blanks. If you need to get an order in, I'm obviously not going to be in town, so I'm not going to be shipping orders during that week. So I would recommend, if you need to get pen blanks or anything off my website, place your order by the 20th. That way I can get the orders out if you need them. So I just wanted to mention that. Pretty excited. We're going to Hawaii again, so I know we're pretty lucky. So looking forward to that vacation. It's been a long time with COVID and everything else going on. We haven't really gone on any real vacations. So looking forward to that. It'll be some nice time off. The other thing is we have a well, before I do anything, I want to show you guys the blanks and all that stuff. I'm all crazy today. So here's a close-up of the blank that we're going to be turning. So I got, these are the between center bushings. I get that out. And they just go on the lathe between the cones. They fit in like that. I like the between center turning. I find them to be a little bit more accurate. So I have another blank spare, ready to go. We're going to be making like a Sierra style pen, but I'm pretty excited about this kit. I actually saw this on the Turner's website, or Turner's Warehouse website. And so it's Sierra style, but it's like a brushed, I forget what they call it, like a brushed steel or something like that. Kind of, it's hard to hold this and get it on camera, but it looked pretty neat. It's a Beaufort ink, and I forgot to go get the link. Let me see if I can find the link really quickly here. I guess I'll switch to my face while we're doing this. Let's see if I can find this. It was called I got the package, so I can at least let you guys know, but I should be able to pull up the link. Zephyr, I think it was called. Let's see. I got the package somewhere. Uh-oh. Sirocco. Brushed pewter is what it was called. I'm going to switch again to this camera. So that was the name of it, Sirocco. That's brushed pewter. And I got it on the Turner's Warehouse website. How do you spell that? F-I-R-O. Sirocco, there it is. And they were pretty cheap, not particularly expensive. Got here. I'll switch to my face again while I search for this thing. Okay, so I got a link for you guys if anybody is interested in this pen kit. Looks pretty good. I mean, obviously we'll see how it looks in the end. There's a link to that. So that's what we're going to be turning up today. And these were scraps from Leah, Colorful Art Girl on Instagram. I actually linked to her Instagram page. She does quilting and stuff, and she sent this huge bag of fabric scraps. Obviously, there's going to be more fabric scrap Micarta down the road that we'll be making some blanks with. But so far, the bowl turned out amazing. Let's see here. I got a couple links that you guys can, well, I'll put these up later. I have links to the live stream that we cast these things all on. I have a link to the bowl that I turned already. So lots of fun stuff going on with that. So now the other thing that I wanted to mention is there is an auction going on right now on my Instagram page for a huge box of blanks. And the proceeds from that are going to be going to the GoFundMe for Braxton Worthland. So again, if you guys, for anybody that doesn't know, Braxton passed away recently, and he was way too young. He's like 40 or something. And anyway, it was very tragic. And so there's a GoFundMe set up for his family. I'm going to put a link to that if anybody's interested in donating directly. But the auction is going to go, like I said, all the proceeds are going to go to this GoFundMe for his family. So let me switch to the other camera again, and I'm going to show you this box of blanks. So Dan over at Banger Blanks, pretty awesome guy, sent a ton of blanks specifically for this. He wanted to help out, and he sent a gigantic, I've actually repacked it. I wanted to see if it would fit in a medium flat rate box. But I'm talking, if you're a wood turner, so tons of zebra wood, Paduke, these are all pen blanks. We haven't even gotten to any of the good stuff yet. He sent a bunch of stabilized blocks that would be pretty good for like knife scales. I'm tossing in, remember the blank that we made with the wood that Braxton sent me, the creosote bush wood with aluminum honeycomb, so that's in there. I got a few flower blanks, so these are rose petals. These ones are just kind of miscellaneous flowers that I found. All right, so a few blanks from me, plus one of the pen blanks from the creosote. And those were up for sale today, but I'm pretty sure they're all gone, unfortunately. Which is good news, but also bad news for anybody that wanted one. And then we got some sap pink ivory blanks, pen blanks. Here's another zebra wood. Here's another stabilized block, and these are all like exotics. I mean, this is Aussie eucalyptus stabilized. A Fordite block with he cast it in resin. This is all, paint Fordite stuff. Like, are you kidding? Crazy stuff. Look at these blocks. These are catalogs. He said it's Mexican ebony. 3 huge blocks of that. Here's another stabilized bird's eye maple for another kind of like a knife scale type thing. I think this is Indian ebony pen blanks. Like, seriously? Some seriously awesome turning material. Curly maple, die stabilized. A couple blocks. He's got a die stabilized piece that's cast into about a 1.5 inch block, like a handle. 5 of these guys, these are what are they? They're rosewood burl hybrid blanks, 5 of them. And last but not least, we got a couple of curly ash big blocks that are die stabilized. All right, so I just wanted to kind of show you guys everything that's in this box. That's all up for grabs. We're doing one huge auction. I want to try and grab as much money. I don't even know how much money is in this box right now. It's a lot. So it's worth quite a bit. The opening bid was 100. I think we're at that right now. But here's a link if you guys want to bid on this giant box of blanks. Where's the live stream? Here it is. So put a link to that. And I'll put links down in the show notes for anybody that's watching back, all this stuff to the pen kit and all the stuff, the GoFundMe. I think you still have access to these links in the chat on the replays, but just in case. Yeah, repacking it. I know. Well, I wanted to kind of get it all in one box, and I wanted to see. He sent it in a huge, like large flat rate box, and I wanted to see if I could maybe fit it into a medium. So to bid on it, it's just like all the other Instagram auctions that I've done. You just leave a comment, put your bid amount, and then also tag a friend, if you will. That way we can kind of get this, out to as many people. Like I said, I'm not taking any of the money, and none of it's going. I didn't pay for these blanks. Dan just sent them all out to me. He wanted to help out. So please, share this with anybody. Share that link so that people will bid. And hopefully we'll get some more money. I mean, the GoFundMe's done pretty well right now, but they still haven't reached their goal. So we need to kind of help them out and do something for them. I can't even imagine what his family's going through. So anyway, I appreciate you guys kind of listening, checking that out. So I think at this point, let me stop real quick. I want to see who actually was here first. You guys have been kind of chatting it up for quite a while now. So Dominic was here first with the thumbs up. And Doug was here pretty quick, and Mike McEwen, nice. And Jim was just after that. So awesome. Let me see what you guys are saying here in the chat. I wasn't looking at the chat here. Yeah, repacking that box. I know it's a seriously awesome collection of blanks. He's like, hey, he texted me and he's like, hey, I want to, set something up for an auction. Can I send you some stuff? And I was like, yeah, sure, and this box came and it's huge. It was a huge, I mean, you saw how many blanks. It's huge, heavy box. And so it's just really amazing. We might do another one. The problem is I'm going on vacation next week. And so we might do another one depending on if the GoFundMe is still going and all that kind of stuff. There's actually been other people, I posted on Facebook and they said, hey, I'd like to donate blanks. So keep your eyes peeled for other possible auctions down the road that are going to also go to the same GoFundMe thing. So anyway, pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool. Hey, Doug's here. What's up, man? Finally have time to sit down. I know you've been busy, man. Been doing all kinds of stuff. I saw those knife scale blanks before you cast them, and I think I saw the picture of them. You already cast them, I think, as well. Those things look pretty sweet. Let's see, is anybody else saying anything? Hey, Jacob Jansen's here. What's up, man? Haven't seen you for a little while. Glad you could make it today. And Ed Wolfridge, we've both been texting back and forth. So the Apple event that I've been waiting for, and Ed as well, we've been waiting for this thing, and it's next Tuesday. So hopefully we will have a new Mac Mini. I'm hoping that they release the new ones, the better ones, and so hopefully we'll have a better streaming computer. Now I will say I'm going to switch cameras real quick. Here, oh, that's not the right one. There it is. So this is actually the new camera. And so the only thing is, the issue is the connection. There may be some kind of slow frames or something like that. So we're just kind of testing this out. But I'll tell you what, I really like the picture a lot better. And so hopefully we'll test this. You guys will have to let me know if something goes haywire, because I haven't really done like a formal test. Make a duck and goose call box, like a duck call blank that you shove the thing in. Is that what you were talking about, Daniel? You're cutting production of iPhones. Yeah, I know, chip shortages. Luckily, I already got my new iPhone. Okay, so I don't think I'm missing anything. So I guess let's get rolling here. So I got my blank ready. So you guys, like I said, I need to open my phone. That's what I was going to do. And get this stream rolling. So again, here's the blank. I need to flip out my little monitor thing. Really like this camera a lot. So here's the blank. And again, these are between centers. So what you have here, for anybody that doesn't know how this setup works, a lot of you guys are probably used to seeing like a mandrel of some sort, and you put your little bushings and all that stuff on. Problem with these is every single one that I've bought was literally bent. The shaft was bent out of the box. Now I will admit that I tend to, especially when I was earlier starting to turn, I would put a little too much tail stock pressure on these things sometimes, and even there's other things that go over it, the mandrel saver things that they call them. But it would always kind of wobble, no matter what lathe, no matter what I did. And so I ended up just switching to these between centers. Now you can only do one blank at a time. That's the drawback, but it's much more accurate. It's not going to wobble or do anything. And I would say that, the biggest problem that I had was if I was trying to apply a finish, if your blank is wobbling, you end up sanding through one spot because it's coming out farther. And so I always had problems with that, and I've been very happy since I switched. This was many years ago, so this is the way that I do it. But you're going to need a dead center, they call this, in the headstock, and then your live center that spins goes in the tailstock side. And I like it. It works pretty well. And these days, like when I first started doing this, you had to pretty much have them all custom. Your bushings had to be like custom made by somebody, like by a machinist. That has changed. They're widely available now. And so They also make, if you're somebody that has all, a bunch of the mandrel style bushings, they also make adapters that will hold those things. I don't know where my adapters are. I would show you guys, but frankly, I don't even know where they are offhand. But they basically go into they fit into the old bushings, so that you don't have to necessarily replace all of them. But what I would recommend is if you ever did want to switch over, if there are a couple of pen kits that you turn a lot of, like maybe Sierras or something like that, I would recommend picking up the most accurate is to just get the right bushing for, not using adapters. That's going to give you the most accurate turn. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of share that, and make sure everybody kind of knows what's going on over here. Let me open my thing and get YouTube up so I can see you guys' comments. Just make sure I'm not missing anything. You just got your first pen mandrel. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with them. I was having problems. They didn't work very well with me. Yeah, actually, thanks for the feedback, Gene. Oh, nice, it is bright. So it is better than the other one? Just let me know if that's the case. Oh, that's me talking. Let me know if this looks better generally than the other one. I mean, frankly, I actually have the other one because what I was using over by the thing. Actually, let's do a little quick experiment, if you guys don't mind a little bit of messing around here, because I actually have the other camera as well, and I think I'm still going to probably use the other one. That's probably going to become my, like when we're doing casting, it'll be that second view. Oh, dinner's done. We can switch and you guys can kind of tell me what you think about this view. I think that looks a lot sharper personally, but yeah, I mean, it's fuzzy. Look at that. I mean, I can see it on my screen. This is the old one. There's the new one. I mean, that's looking nice. You can even see that little floating dust particle. It's so sharp. So I think this is going to be a better way to go in general. Let me get this other camera plugged in so it doesn't die. Hopefully you guys saw that. Sorry, it was kind of quick, I know. Get that plugged in. Okay. Oh, that's the reason. I have the plug plugged into the thing. Okay, so let's get to turning. I'm going to be using the mini finisher. Am I on the right camera? Yes. By Easywood Tools with the negative rake and carbide. This stuff, that bowl was super, it just seemed like it was much more abrasive than just a resin blank. And I think it's more friction. I mean, you're cutting a hardened fabric and it just ends up kind of wearing on the edge a little bit. So I don't think I would recommend, I think you're going to have a tough time turning with high-speed steel tools. It's just not going to be very fun. You're going to be sharpening more than you're turning, really. Let's see here. So somebody asked, I think, what camera? So it's the Sony what the hell is it called? It's a weird name. I'm just calling it Bob. Sony ZV-E10. Thank you for making it really difficult. They just came out with this camera and they were touting it as a blogging or vlogging camera. I wouldn't consider it a vlogging camera, but I think it's a very good content creating one. It basically has all the features. If you've been looking at Sony cameras at all, the 5,000 through 6,000s, that's what I was gonna get an A6400, and this camera does way better. One of the really awesome things about this camera, so Sony's pick up faces really well, and so that's why if you're just a talking head. A lot of vloggers and content creators and even live streamers would use the 64 or 6, one of those variants, the 6,000 something. And I was going to get the 6400, but the problem is it didn't pick up if you were going to show an object like a product or something. It wasn't as good at picking that up. But now with this thing, the automatic, you just pull this in, and I mean, the focus is just ridiculous on this. It'll pick up anything that you stick in front of it. So I thought it'd be perfect for streaming. Well worth the money, and frankly, it's cheaper than the ones that I was looking at from Sony, the old ones. And it works better, frankly. So it's a good camera if you're thinking about content creation. It's I think it was about 700, I want to say maybe 800 bucks with the with the it's a 16 to 50 zoom lens. It's just the kit lens. So not a bad way to go. I'm very happy with it so far. And I mean, it'll do great for photography, obviously, and you can even take it out. The only issue is the reason I say it's not a vlogging camera is a lot of people, if you're vlogging, you're like, a lot of times you're like out walking, holding the camera in front of your face, and it doesn't have very good stabilization like in the camera. So you would want to get a gimbal for it. That's the only drawback, or that's the reason I don't think it's really the greatest. And everybody else that kind of reviews this stuff doesn't really think it's the greatest camera, but I think it's good for just video production. It's a really good camera and pretty cheap. All right, so I'm just gonna wind this thing out. It's gonna be going about as fast as, it is gonna be going as fast as the lathe can go. Yeah, the ZV-1, I like the ZV-E10 better than the ZV-1. That's a good camera, but with this one, you can change the lens out. It's the APS-C lens system, so you can put whatever lens you want on. If you want a super telephoto, if that's what you're doing, you can do that. If you want just like a prime for just shooting yourself, like just doing like on-camera work where you're not really moving, that kind of stuff, portrait type stuff. Misfit's got a Laguna, nice. I love this lathe. This thing is awesome. Yeah, the ZV-1 has, like I said, that one's actually a better vlogging camera. It has better stabilization, but it's just a zoom lens that you can't change out if you wanted. So I looked at that one. I actually rented that one with an A6400, compared the two, and it really wasn't going to do what I wanted. So anyway, let's get this thing rolling here. Enough talk about cameras and stuff. Now I am going to turn on the dust collector, so it's going to be a little loud. I apologize for that. But I'll tell you what, it really works well, having dust collection at the lathe. Just sucks all the nasty dust out of your face. So here we go. Maybe. Turn on. There it goes. Contact. Okay. So I'm actually going to stop real quick, turn off the thing so I'm not yelling at you guys. And I want to get in here and try and get a better, I don't want to get too close because I actually forgot I was going to get something that will protect my lens. I don't want to screw up my lens right away, but I do want to get a little bit tighter shot here for you guys. You can zoom it. I guess that's the extent of the zoom. I'm going to double check on the big screen to make sure that that's looking pretty decent. I'll give you kind of a closer up shot, but it's turning nicely. Now, the one thing about this stuff, I cast this, it was kind of just, I slammed it together. I cast it in a PVC pipe and just compressed it with something else. And the thing is, you might see there's some pretty big air pocket kind of things, at least on the outside. We'll have to see once we get on the inside how bad it is, but the nature of this stuff, it's just kind of that, it's one of the things that you got to kind of deal with a lot of times. You're going to have some air pockets. So we'll fill those with probably a UV resin or something like that, maybe CA glue. But overall, I mean, it's turning fine so far. It's looking pretty good. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer here. Try to get things going here so you guys get the best best view possible. Okay, let's try that. Yeah, it does look like candy, doesn't it? This was really neat because they were like, you know, all kinds of random different colored things in that bag of fabric scraps that she sent, and it's turning out really cool. I'm digging it. All right, glasses back on. Turn the lathe back on. All right, so it's looking all right. There are some, like I said, some kind of gougy things going on. And it does kind of feel like fabric. The one issue with this blank that may be problematic is I don't know that I got it as saturated with the resin. I kind of did this one quick at the end, I think. So that is one issue. Now, if you need to, you can just douse it with some CA. You know, like I'll show you guys. If you need to kind of, you know, stiffen up fibers from something like a micarta like this, just grab yourself some, and I'm telling you, this is like the pen turner's duct tape. Like, you have to have this. And I really do actually recommend the Star Bond specifically, super fast thin. I love this stuff, and it just gives you, you know, if you need to stiffen fibers up on anything, wood or you know, resin, all I do is I'm just going to douse it. All right, just put a paper towel underneath it just so it doesn't drip on my lathe. And then it dries so fast that, you know, like, you're ready to rock and roll. This works really well for pen blanks that have, like, that are going to be difficult, you know, mixed materials, things where you want to increase the bond between the materials just in case there's some issues, or things that are like chippy, like, you know, pine cone blanks, what am I trying to, coffee bean blanks, like things like that, where you just need to add a little bit of stiffness to the material. Punky wood for sure. It's like you can stabilize as you go. Now, it's not going to penetrate deep down in, so you douse it and then take a few cuts, and then you would do it again. But it'll help you get through blanks that are just absolute nightmares. And you can usually kind of make sure you get through it. I like to just hit it with a little bit of the spray just to make sure everything's dry. Alex is here. What's up, man? Welcome to the stream. Sugar-free pen blank. Yes, it is definitely sugar-free. All right, so let's get back to turning here. Keep it going. I probably should have put a new cutter on. This might be the same cutter that I used on the bowl. Like I was saying, it was pretty abrasive. And the way I could tell is this thing was getting really hot. In fact, I think I am going to turn this. I can tell that this side of the cutter is duller, more dull. I think I'm going to turn the thing here. Find myself, because this side's cutting pretty well. I can go this way and it's cutting it nicely. But when I'm trying to come in this way, it's going like really slow. So I'm just going to loosen it up. Hopefully we can find a fresh edge. The one problem I have is a lot of times I forget, I don't know where where the fresh edge is necessarily unless I get a microscope out. What's doing here? Get in there. And one thing, a good tip, you don't need to crank down on these cutters. You really don't ever want to use the short end and like crank down. It makes it really difficult to get them off. You only need to give it a little bit of tightness doing it that way. So just a little bit of a tip. I know when I first started with these things, I would like crank them down and make sure it's stuck on there. But what ends up happening is the vibrations and everything that are going on while you're cutting end up kind of like almost tightening that nut a little bit more. And so you really don't need to crank down on these things. Oh, did they alert you late? Sorry about that, Connie. I know, I wish they need to do it beforehand. There we go. All right, so let's stop and see what the surface looks like at this point, because we're starting to get kind of close. I mean, this side is actually pretty close to the bushing now. I'll need to do a little bit of trimming. That's real close. This one's getting close. It's not there yet, but I want to look at the surface because I think I'd rather at this point, rather than when we're totally done shaping this to where it's at its thinnest, I think now is where I'd like to start filling, these kind of divots that are in here. So hopefully that'll kind of help. Let's get you guys. I'm gonna try and get this. Oh my God, I'm getting stuck on things. Sorry about that. I'm gonna get this camera in. Hold on a minute. Yeah. Drop this down. Zoom in. So there we have it. So you can see there's a few divots. They're not bad actually, but definitely the surface is not flat. All right, so we're gonna definitely have to fill this. Now there's a couple different ways you can go with this. UV resin would work, but the only issue that I have with UV resin is you really need to give it you need to keep it under a light for like 15 minutes, right? And I don't want to mess with that. I don't have time for that. Nobody ain't got time for that. So, how much of a lip do you have? I don't leave a lip really. Usually I'm not going to be sanding so much that it's going to take a significant amount off. You want to try to get, at least to the bushings, I want to get that thing pretty much flat, because the other issue is I'm going to put a CA finish on top of this. So I want it to be really, really close down there. I don't put a huge, thick finish on my pens, really. Nobody got time to do that. I know. So what I'm going to do instead, this is I think this is my go-to, is just going with the thick. And so the way that I do this, I don't want to put a really big blob on. I want to put a few different, thinner coats of this, though. It's going to be thicker than that, you're not going to want to fill with this. Okay. You would be here for 3 years adding, layers and stuff, and you're really never going to fill a big chunk, a hole like that. So I'll just kind of come in and spot fill, and then try and kind of even knock it down, like wipe it a little bit afterwards, and then layer it up a little bit. So I'm not particularly worried about filling the whole thing, because I'm going to come back and turn this again. And what ends up happening is if you use this let's widen this out here. If you use one of these spray, accelerators, it's only going to accelerate the top, and this stuff doesn't, it takes a while, like a thicker one. I don't know what the open time is. Let's see here. It says, oh, it doesn't say, whatever the cure time is, it's a lot longer than that thin stuff. So the top will harden of your blob, but the inside's not. And then when you go back to turn it, which I'm going to do immediately, pretty much, it's going to, break the surface through, and you're going to have CA glue all over you. So I like to do it a little bit differently. Like I said, put on, let's just call it kind of like moderate layers of the thick. Zoom that in a little bit. So let's get to it. I'm just gonna go here. Let's see here. Where's my, I guess that'll work. The only thing is, I actually kind of wish this lens was a little bit more telephoto-ish. I think I might actually come on this side. It might work a little better, possibly. Kind of come in and I'm just going to kind of put a blob here and there, wherever I see kind of holes. This will be the first layer. I just want to kind of get it in there. But like I said, I am going to kind of come back and wipe this down. I don't want huge blobs. Another way to go is you can just apply it while it's spinning. That can kind of work. But I think because there's so many kind of deep holes, I want to just try and spot fill some of these holes first. Then I'm probably going to come back and just turn the thing on, turn the lathe going, and then kind of wipe it down in. And the way to do that and get it kind of even, I'll show you, is to don't use a paper towel. It's going to absorb your CA. Just put on some nitrile gloves and use that as like a trowel. It's not going to cure or be absorbed by a nitrile glove. Now, for this one, I am going to use paper towels, so I know this is kind of conflicting information, but for this kind of spot fixing, I actually do want to kind of pull some of it off. Let me get this thing out of here. I'm just going to kind of dab it, push it kind of down in is what I'm trying to do, but it is going to take some of it off, and that's fine because I don't want huge blobs. Trying to kind of push it down in there. I don't know if this is the best way. This is just how I do it. And then I'm just going to spray the heck out of this thing. So the idea is hopefully we've filled, you know, some of those holes, and then I'm gonna actually move the camera because I can't work from this. It's just not working. Let me put the camera here. Sorry about this camera work. I'm figure all this stuff out. Okay. And then what I'm going to do now is actually what I was saying. I'm going to grab a glove, and then I'm just going to put a big amount on this thing. Basically let it spin, and I'm going to apply a ton, and then I'm going to use a glove to trowel it. I'm actually just going to, I always forget which finger I use. I got a glove. I think I squeeze with my right. That's the problem with this camera angle. Is I squeeze with my right, and I let me do something a little bit different here. We're gonna try something. Oh God, pulling cords out. I'm gonna come on this side, and hopefully you guys will have a much better view of what I'm doing without me and my fingers being in the way so much. I'm gonna zoom out just a little bit. Okay. So now, and I'm gonna turn the lathe down. It's not gonna be spinning very fast, because you don't want it flinging this stuff all over the place. So it's going about 250. And then what you can do is just squeeze some out. I'm kind of globbing it on here. That's fine. One issue you can run into doing it this way is you can end up kind of gluing your bushings on if you put a big blob on the end. So try to kind of watch out on the ends a little bit. That should kind of help. But that, using the glove, you should be able to kind of trowel it flat a little bit. And it's probably going to take a few tries here, a few coats to kind of get things going. You just want to build up the layers. Plastic bags, yeah. I find them, I've tried it, and they work. They do the same thing, but I can't stand the bag thing. They just, they don't, they feel funny. I'd rather have something like a glove. All right, so that's nice and hardened up. Now, the only issue is I just sprayed it with accelerator, so it may kind of tend to want to kind of cure a little bit faster. If you don't really wait, I'm just going to go for it. So you got a while, you got a pretty decent amount of open time with the thick. Another one that's not bad is medium. A lot of people use medium, but depending on how there's a lot of different mediums depending on the brand, and they're all kind of different viscosities. I actually find that this thick is kind of the perfect viscosity. I like it thicker like that for doing this type of a thing. But it all comes down to what your personal preferences are, and how a lot of people say, oh, what's your CA finish technique? And I've tried like 50 different ways of doing different stuff with CA glue. And to put a finish on, that's a little bit different. Once I've gotten the blank totally smooth, then I do things totally different. I actually like using a thinner viscosity, and I just kind of do it quick with paper towels. But for filling and stuff like that, this seems to be the best way for me to get this done fairly quickly. Oh, camera's in the way. I think I'm going to bring the camera back on this side. All right, so that's not bad. I could probably even put more coats on. But I think I'm going to see how good I did. I'm going to bring the camera back on this side. Like I said, I'm a little worried about the lens on this camera. They sell these things that are like, I think they're called UV filters. I don't know exactly what they're called, but they basically don't do anything. They're not going to change anything, but they basically cover your lens. So if I get CA glue flinging, it's not going to get on my lens. Let me stop and see what you guys are up to. Soaked. Yeah, you can soak your bushings in acetone if you want afterwards. There's and you can buy like Delrin bushings. They sell these ones that are specifically for finishing. I haven't found them to be. The problem is you really need to use them with a mandrel, and I don't like the cones because they're generally the way that I do my finishes. I'd have to turn this thing down. I just don't like them particularly. Again, it all comes down to whatever works the best for you. A lot of people love those things, but I can't stand them because of my setup and all that. Oh, let me get my dust collector back in place. Collect my fumes. Close enough. Okay. All right, so let's see how we did, what the surface is looking like. Now, some people, I don't know, I didn't look at the comments yet. You may be going, oh my God, don't turn with gloves on. Nothing's gonna happen with these. They'll just rip off if something got caught. You do not want to be turning with like leather gloves or, fabric gloves. But I see personally, and it's up to you personally, but there's nothing, I don't see a problem with wearing like rubber gloves. It's not gonna, wrap up and get your hand caught, I don't think. But I might have to, I'm probably gonna have to apply it again, so I don't really want to take these off. But the surface is looking much, much better. So let me see if I can, how close I can get in on this for you guys. I got power cords getting stuck over here. Oh my goodness. We're having a time today. I'm gonna try and work on possibly setting up like permanent mounts for the camera systems that hopefully will work a little bit better without me having to move them all over the place and do stuff. So probably like next year type deal is what I'd like to get that going, because I want to get that new computer, and then I'm going to spend some time trying to kind of fine tune some of this stuff with the two cameras. All right, so let's zoom in here. Oh, other way. So that's looking, I mean, much better. There's no huge divots. There's some small ones still. You can see some little pinholes here and there, and that's fine. No big deal. Those are easy to fill. No big giant holes anymore, though. Let's blow it off. There's a couple little holes here and there. But again, I'm going to come back and spot fix these kind of bigger ones, and then we'll just apply another coat of that, the thick. We should be good to go. Now, one thing I want to do is I'm gonna harden up the ends here with some thin. Try and get this camera to work here. Okay. I'm gonna kind of come in with the super fast thin first, because this end just is a little bit more dry. Let's say dry looking. Let's see. Frank's here. What's up, man? Massive workshop, sweet. That's cool. Yeah, UV filter. Is that what I was pretty sure that's what it was called, but I didn't want to misspeak. I was using a super cheap, Canon. That the focal length also on that other camera is like super like zoomed in. So I would have to like put, I had no problem if I put the camera anywhere close. I mean, it was like right up on stuff. This one's a little bit further out, like a wider angle kind of lens than that one. Going a little fast. You don't need it going 3,500. I just want to kind of add a little bit to harden up the surface just a little bit before we apply that thick coat. Basically just kind of give it something hard, underneath it a little bit. But I am being careful because if you put too much of that glue, like I said, you'll glue your blank to the bushings. Now it's not a huge deal. You can come in with, like a skew chisel or something like that and just kind of, or like a detailer, and just you're going to end up having to come in and literally cut your blank off, like cut through that CA that's overlapping onto the bushing. It's not a huge deal, but it's not something that you're really going to want to do. So I try to be somewhat careful when I'm doing these kind of fill things to not like overdo it and add a bunch of that stuff. So again, I'm just coming in here. I don't know if you guys can see or not, if my hand's in the way. This time I'm just going to use my glove since I got it on to kind of fill that in the hole, trowel it a little bit. But I want to spot fix. There's these couple right here are pretty deep holes. I'm trying to get my head in here and see. That looks like the worst of them. So I'm going to spray that. I think I need to do another dab on this one. I'm going to kind of blow this off. Hopefully that might help. I don't know, with that adhesive, or not adhesive, accelerator. Like I said, I don't want it to be super thick because it can, I've had it kind of fling CA glue and get it all over the bed of your ways, bedways and all that kind of stuff. Non-stick bushings get stuck too? Oh my goodness. One thing you could do, if you know that you're going to have to do something like this, you can actually put some wax on your bushings, and that can actually help quite a bit. Just rub a little bit of wax on them, then put them on and start going. The problem is, how long is that going to stay on? Probably not very long. So there are a few things you can do, but hopefully you guys can kind of see what I'm doing, but kind of showed you before. All right, so I think that should probably be pretty good. Thinking that might have hopefully filled all the holes that we need to fill. And then my normal, when I put a CA finish on, this is what I use. The Mercury Thin Flex. This is the one that I like. They have a medium flex, and it works okay. The thing I don't like about this, actually, though, I don't think this has as long, I was thinking about maybe using this for the fill. I thought I'd try it, but it doesn't have nearly the same open time as that thick one from Starbond does. And so it didn't really work too well for doing this method because it's setting up on me. But some people do like the medium flex. I personally, I like putting a lot of coats of this thin stuff on. It's just the best way that I've found for the way that I do things. So, let's see, paste wax on the shoulders. Yeah. Hey, Mark, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. Mark knows what he's talking about. He's got some experience making some pens and pen blanks. All right, so let's do a little bit more turning here. I think we should be able to get to the end, basically. And then we'll start putting the finish on. And I think that this thing's gonna work. I was a little bit worried because, you know, you saw the surface of this thing, right? On the outside, had a bunch of holes and it wasn't flat at all. So I drilled it out, and you can imagine there's gonna be the same kind of stuff going on the inside. And I was just a little bit worried, you know, that maybe there wouldn't be as good a glue bond between the blank and the tube. There may be some gaps here and there. I wasn't 100% sure. So I did try to load it up with a bunch of CA glue. Epoxy would work fine too, but I just wasn't sure if there would be any issues with that. But other than that, I figured it would turn okay because the bowl turned great. All right, so let's finish up our shaping. The only problem is, so I turned that cutter, and now this side's okay. The other one's not particularly amazing. I think I just need to put a new cutter on this thing. So I'm gonna try and turn it back just a little bit, just to try and expose the best edge. Because it makes it kind of difficult if you're having to jam the thing in there with more force. I don't think I need gloves anymore. Now the other nice thing, I'm going to try and walk away from that giant cone sucking air in. In fact, I think I'm going to try and open. Yeah, that ought to make it a little quieter. The other nice thing about applying that, doing all that work, filling those holes, and then coming back and taking a final cut is you cut some of that CA off on the ends, and so you should probably, it'll be a lot less likely that you're going to glue your blank to the bushings because you're going to be kind of cutting that stuff away. And frankly, I hit the bushings sometimes. Whatever. I don't really care so much about that. That's looking pretty sweet. I think I can take a little bit more off these ends. Again, I am going to have to add CA glue. I'm putting a finish on, so you really don't want them. You really don't want the ends, you know, protruding too far above your bushings. All right, let's get you guys in here. check this thing out. It's looking pretty good, I think. As far in as we can get, that's about as far as it'll go. That's looking pretty sweet. I don't have, I mean, there are still a few pock marks here and there. But I was taking some material off. I think I can fill that with the thin flex. I think what I'm going to do is do that same glove technique with just the thin flex for like 1, maybe 2 coats, and then go for like applying the, you know, my normal finish method. All right, so let's see here. Ooh, you got a saw stop, nice. A gap between the tube and material ends? No. I mean, no. I've never seen that. I mean, if you go too far down, you might, but I'm not cutting into it, really. You know, I'm just getting it pretty even. You don't want it to be overlapping. I don't. Plus, I am going to sand it, so I mean, people were talking about that. You know, I'm going to take a little bit more off, but then I'm going to be adding CA glue. So, to me, I don't know. That hasn't happened to me. I like to get it very, very close if I'm putting a CA finish on, and then you know, just even a little bit less aggressive, I guess. If it's just a blank that I'm gonna, you know, like a resin blank that I'm gonna polish up. So let's. I'm gonna go grab another glove. Really quickly here. We'll apply a couple of, I don't want to put too much of this stuff on. This is the thin flex. So I'm going to turn the lathe on and I'm just going to douse it the same way. But I don't want to put too much on because now, you know, you're down to the bushings and I'm not going to be taking material off, right? Just a couple of dousings. That shouldn't be too much. That shouldn't hopefully stick it to glue it to the bushings. Keeping our fingers crossed. That's not filling. All right, we're gonna have to go with the thick. I'm seeing some pinholes. So I'm going to kind of blow the blank off lightly. Try and kind of, I have no clue if this actually does anything, but what I'm trying to do is try and blow off some of that accelerator. And then we're going to go back with the thick. I'll just try to be a little bit careful, not glue it to the All right. So hopefully that filled all those holes pretty well. Pretty good. All right, I think that's good. Now we're going to come back and do our sanding. I'm going to start with 120 grit, just because this blank is, you know, we got a lot of CA glue junk going on, and I think it's just going to go a lot faster to start at a lower grit than I normally would, to get everything nice and smoothed out. And, you know, once we get through the CA glue, the Micarta stuff is very abrasive, so I think you're just better off. I mean, you know, I'm sanding this thing and it's not like it's taking a ton of material off. So you guys were asking, you know, do you leave some for sanding? I guess the reason that I was like, no, I guess that question depends. It depends on how aggressive you're going to be with sanding. If you're going to come in with 80 grit or 120 grit, you know, and sand down a bunch of material, then that's one thing. But if you can get the blank fairly smooth and start at like 240 grit, then you're really not taking off that much material. And that question, you wouldn't be asking that question, you know. So I think it just all kind of depends a little bit on how things are going, what you're doing to your blank. For, you know, especially for 100% acrylic blanks, you know, you're not adding any CA glue or anything, so those, you can usually get them pretty smooth. They're a little bit easier to get totally smooth and a good finish off the tool. So a lot of times you don't have to do as much sanding on something like that if you can get the surface really smooth and a good cut, not a lot of tool marks basically. But if you're going to be grinding away on it like I'm doing on this one, then you know, you maybe would want to keep a little bit more material on the ends because you're going to take more off, or in my case I kind of built up a layer of CA glue that I'm going to kind of take off. And we still haven't added, this is not finishing, this is just trying to get the surface fixed. Alright, so let's see what we're looking like here. So you can see all the little white marks are divots, basically. So sometimes these things can be a pain, and you gotta do, see all these are all pock marks. Dang it. Sometimes it can be a total pain in the butt. So I'm gonna kind of spot fill these things. I can see holes. Sometimes it's easier for me just to kind of fill like this, just to apply it. The other nice thing about doing it this way is you're not going to be getting it all over your bushings. So I've kind of filled, and then now, let me go get another glove. Depending on how big the blob is, you could either just leave it like that, or I like to kind of trowel it with a glove or something. So I'm just going to kind of come in here and just kind of dab it. I'm just flattening it down a little bit so it's not a huge glob of glue. And again, this just makes it easier. I mean, you could let the whole thing dry fully, and then you don't have to worry, but if you're kind of in a little bit more of a hurry, you can kind of do this dabbing thing and get back to turning a little bit quicker without it being liquid underneath. Askew. Yeah, I've tried. I thought I was, you know, it's alluring. It's alluring to say, oh, you know, you just pull a skew out and you can get a perfect surface. But, and I tried doing that, you know, oh, I'll just build up my skill set. But I gave in on it pretty quick. I mean, the problem is if you screw up, you demolish a blank. Pretty much. It's a really bad catch. Whoa, that's going way too fast. You can maybe pull out a tool and knock down the surface on this. I thought I'd just try with this 120 and see what we get. Whatever way you can get to the end, as far as I'm concerned, is the right way. You know, you can pull out the tool and try and get a nice perfect edge or surface on there, but some days sanding is just more reliable. Just kind of want to look at this surface. I think we filled those spots pretty well at this point. It's just a matter of sanding down the surface smooth. The thing is, you really need to get a very smooth surface, otherwise it's really not going to look very good. Now, I don't know if there's going to be a massive difference on a blank like this. It's got this kind of weird material going on. But for, you know, if you're doing like a pine cone blank or, you know, something wood that has, you know, grain or something that you need to fill, in that case, if you're trying to put a CA finish on top, every little imperfection underneath the surface is going to make it look a lot worse. If you can get that surface totally smooth, it's going to be really nice and glossy and it's going to look fabulous. So the more work you do up front, the better off you are in the end. Better your results are going to be getting that finish on. All right, so that's looking good, and that didn't take very long. Got a few little white spots here and there, but I think those little guys are probably going to be filled for reals this time with my normal finish. I'm just going to give it a little bit more time sanding here. Maybe we can get a little bit below some of those little tiny pinholes. Get it down to the same level. All right, I think that's probably good with the 120. Got everything nice and smooth. Blank's looking good. I'm kicking the tripod here. Let's see if I can avoid doing that in the future. So I'm gonna wipe this off. I'm gonna first blow it off. I'm gonna hit it with some 180. Next, we're gonna go through our grits basically next, and then we're gonna apply the finish at the end. All right, so I don't need these gloves for sure anymore. Oh, you know what I wanted to do? I'm just gonna douse it with a little bit of denatured alcohol. I'm really finding that between grits, I think it's a must. Especially on anything that's like a finish or, you know, a plastic of some sort, resin. I really think that that's kind of the key. Get that surface, get all those, you know, previous grit chunks out of there completely. Okay, 180. That's looking good. We're gonna drop down to 240 grit. I'm gonna wipe it off. A little bit of alcohol. Sanding is my favorite part of the project. Who loves sanding? Anybody? Yeah, that Zona paper really, I love that stuff. Okay, should be pretty good, I think. The tough, I guess one of the nice things about this Micarta blank thing is, you know, sanding it. Like, I'm not gonna go too high sanding this stuff because it's got a bunch of lines and all kinds of stuff in there. Even if you missed a scratch mark, you're probably not gonna see it because there's so much going on under there. Darker things tend to show scratches, but I mean, with all these things going on, you're probably not going to see a scratch anyway. Like you would on some other things, like you know, just a regular like acrylic blank or something like that. Just like a color swirl or something. So we'll go to like 400 or whatever, and then I'm just going to put on our finish. Could probably stop at 240 and it's not going to make much difference. But we'll give it one more grit, just for the heck of it. Yeah, I don't like sanding anything. I gotta be honest. Flaming Turner loves sanding. Yeah, there's a few people that like have said like they find it kind of like relaxing or, you know, like meditative. I think I don't. I'd rather be doing something else than sanding personally. But so you gotta not be impatient. That's, you know, you gotta embrace the suck. Okay, I think that's probably good. I don't think I can make it any better. Than that. So I'll give you guys a shot of this thing. I'm going to turn the air off a little bit here so it's not so loud. Sorry about the how loud it is. There's not much I can do about it though. The dust collector itself isn't really that loud. It's not. That's not what's causing the loudness. It's the suction at the cone. Really loud. Look at that thing. That thing's looking sweet. So it looks like there are maybe a few pinholes here and there, but I think we'll be able to cover them up mostly. One thing I didn't think about was you can see the tube a couple places. It didn't even dawn on me to, you know, to use a painted tube. I was thinking, oh, it'll be covered by the fabric. But we didn't necessarily get it fully, you know, squished down into one layer. I did my best, but that part of the project was the hardest, the way that I did it. It just didn't work that well, basically. So, all right, so again, this is what I like to use. See how good the focus is? Auto, you know, like grabbing on those products. That's why I bought this camera, because it's got really good. And the ZV-1 it has the same one. It's the same type of feature, actually. Now I remember when I was looking at that stuff. It's the same. I think they call it product focus or something like that. It's got the same thing going on. So again, if anybody's looking for, you know, wants a camera for doing this kind of stuff, videos and things. Or, you know, live streams too. That's I would say it's almost more important. Well, maybe a little bit better for live streams. You don't even have to think about it. It's so good. Okay, so we're using the Thin Flex from Mercury, and the way I do it, I apply it with, and I actually have a specific, I like the Bounty paper towels. I have like a specific one. I just kind of fold it up three layers, and then we just apply a lot of coats. So I'm going to put on probably about 8 to 10 and see where we're at. So I'm going to spin it, and I think I can actually get you guys maybe a better view. Possibly on the other side. I'm gonna try something a little bit different here. So maybe I can get you guys like right in the middle. I need to work on my camera mounting and all that stuff. Zoom out just a little bit. You can see. Okay, I think that'll work. You should be able to see what I'm doing. So I actually apply the CA to the paper towel. And again, there's a billion different ways to do these things. I apply like a little blob, and then I just kind of get on 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm off. So I just apply a bunch of thin coats. I don't know. I came from just regular woodworking, and that would be the way that you would want to do a finish. That's the better way, is to apply a bunch of thin coats for like a top coat finish. I don't know if that totally applies, but I'm able to get this on very smoothly doing it this way. I don't have a bunch of, marks, trails, or, I don't know what you want, like ridges. That's what I usually get when I'm using the mediums and stuff. I get really big ridges and stuff. So I like the thin, and just do, like I said, probably about, we'll check it and see after about 10 coats. But I can put them on very fast also. This is why I like CA glue. I wouldn't use UV, because I really like the UV resin for, medium-sized projects. But for pens and things that are fairly small that you can easily get it on smooth, CA glues are just faster, much faster. I don't have to wait around 20 minutes for the stuff to cure. I spray it, it's done. And you can even sand it right away, so 5 of thin, yeah. A lot of people kind of switch around. And like I said, my best advice to people is, it's good to see, some examples, different people's ways of doing it. But really, the only way that you're going to figure out how to do it is to try like every one until you find one that you can get on, quick, easy, without a lot of ridges and all that stuff. Whichever way works the best for you and is fastest, that's the one that you go with. And I will be honest, it took me quite a while to figure out my method, and it's even changed over time. And it even boils down to different products. This one is the one that works perfect for me because of the viscosity of it. I like the clarity of it. I think it's better than some other ones, but like as the final finish. But that's debatable. But the open time, for the way that I want to do this, it just has all the characteristics. If I switch to something else, I don't get as good results, And so it took me quite a while to settle on this system. One of the problems, and I addressed this at the beginning, is I was having some serious issues because of the mandrels. I would sand through, and it was a nightmare. I hated CA finishes, and I was trying to figure out other ways. But in the end, CA glue is really, I think, the best finish that you can put. If you need a hard top coat, I don't think there's a better way to go than CA for pens. It's very durable. I would say the only drawback to it is acetone will dissolve it. So if you dropped your pen in acetone, I guess you're screwed. But I mean, when does that happen? So, but otherwise it's very tough stuff. It's very durable. It lasts a good amount of time compared to everything else. UV finishes are really good too, and they're probably a little bit more durable, and probably not. Acetone wouldn't affect UV. But it is, I think, going to take longer. It would definitely take me longer right now. Had pens turn yellow with stick fast? That sucks. Yeah. Polyclay. Next day the finish shattered? Wow. Yeah, I'm not I never really had too many problems. I started with stick fast. I never really had major problems with it, but it is the one that, especially, I think the biggest problem with stick fast, and this never happened to me because I'm in Nevada, but I think humidity really screws with stick fast. So if you're up above 40% humidity, I think that's when most people experience difficulties with it. I don't know about the yellowing thing though. That really kind of sucks. I haven't had, I don't think I've had anything yellow with mercury or Star Bond ever. I haven't used stick fast really. I have no clue how many coats I put on at this point. I've been talking, but yeah, HDPE bushings. I would actually like to get some of those. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, oh, there you go. Razor blade. That's a good way to go. I was talking about a skew chisel. Razor blade's probably easier. All right, I'm guessing that's probably good. I don't know. I don't know how many coats we put on, but I think it was more than 8. Well, tell you what. I have this much paper towel left. Let's just finish it off. I don't know if I sprayed this. Well, now I kind of screwed that up. You kind of need to apply it, otherwise it just totally soaks in. So we're going to call it done because I wasted that paper towel now. It's a good time to quit. When you're out of paper towel, you've put enough coats on. Whoo-wee, that's looking pretty good. I don't know if you guys can really see that much. They have an 18... I want to say like 75. They have a lens that goes, that's a little bit deeper. I think the nice thing is this 1650 millimeter. It's a 16 to 50 millimeter lens. This is the one like the cheap kit lens, and it's really good. But this is the extent that I can get with the zoom, and I would like to kind of be able to go a little bit closer. So we'll have to see. But man, that's looking pretty sweet. What do you guys think about that? There are a few little pock marks here and there. Eh, whatever. There's so much stuff going on that most people are not going to really notice that stuff. Every time now and then I drop them in a jar of acetone when I'm done. Oh, I thought you were talking about the pens. Throw your used paper towels in a metal trash can. Have you had them light on fire? I mean, they do heat up, but this stuff doesn't get super hot and crazy, though. That super fast thin stuff, it will. I'm not that worried about it. Never seen a fire from CA paper towels yet, so. I think that would probably be very, very much a problem if, oh goodness, what's if you were globbing a bunch on, like I was doing, if you're using a paper towel and doing that, you know, with a lot of it, that's where I've seen some issues with it getting too hot. But I put on such a small amount on those paper towels that for finishes that it's just not gonna light on fire. So, all right, now we got to do a little bit of sanding. So we'll go back to the 400. I am going to turn this thing back on because I really don't feel like breathing CA glue dust. Not good for you. And so I'm using 400 grit, and all I want to do is just make sure that I'm getting that surface, you know, any ridges or anything that because it's not dead perfect, but the ridges are not particularly high. Usually for me. And so all I want to do is, I don't want to take a bunch of CA glue off. Now I did put a lot of coats on, so it's not that big of a deal probably, but this is where people run into problems, I would say, is if you sand too much off, then, you know, if you haven't put enough CA on and you're sanding too much, that's where you can run into some problems. But I don't know if you guys can kind of see this. Let's see. I'm not sure how well this is going to be picked up on the camera. I have a tiny screen that I can barely see, but shiny spots are going to be low spots on this. All right, so still got a little ways to go here. We got some shiny spots going on. All right, Frank. Dairy Queen, dude. Frank, buddy, bring me back one. I'll take a Reese's Pieces Blizzard, please. All right, so there's still a few shiny spots. We're gonna go a little bit further here. It's always good to kind of, you know, do a little bit of work, stop and see, check your progress. You don't need to do more work than necessary. You know my philosophy on sanding, less is better, as long as you're getting the job done. All right, so now we're getting, I think, down to the base here a little bit. I think there are some little pock marks here and there. There's just not much I can do about that. This material is really tough, and it's probably underneath the surface because I don't think that I've sanded through my finish. Although I might have. I don't know. I didn't really count how many. I don't think so. I didn't really count the number of coats I put on, but I'm thinking it had to be a good 8 to 10 at least. So I think we're okay. I don't know. Does seem like there's holes in this thing that dust was getting into. Typically, I would probably, if I was really worried about this thing and it was like, you know, I need to make sure it's perfect, I would probably go back and put on, maybe douse it with that thicker stuff to kind of coat it. But I think we're going to be okay. I think we can get away with just finishing this guy up and it's going to look pretty good. I'm just running out of time for the stream, so I'd rather get this thing finished and show you guys than worry about is it perfect or not, you know, kind of thing. But if you got holes in it, you're probably going to want to come back and put a little bit more finish on. And I can see there's little pinholes that I guess I didn't get them filled. So just wanted to give you guys the disclosure, full disclosure. It's not perfect. Oh, I need to go get a bucket of water real quick. I will be right back. Nice thing is I can turn off the dust collector now. That's the one advantage. If you want to not have to worry about sanding dust, then wet sand the whole way through. That is a good way to go. Okay. Going to get the water. Wish I had running water in the back here. Problem is, to extend the plumbing line all the way back there would cost a fortune. So we'll just have to deal with it. All right, so we've gotten everything flat with 400 grit. Now we're going to come back with the Zona papers, and this is what I like to do. It's my favorite type of thing. You know, like my favorite way to go is using the Zona papers for like your polishing, I would call it. It's not really, I mean, it's the same thing as sanding, but it's just higher grit. I just like to call it polishing. Since they call themselves polishing papers, we'll just call it polishing. All right, so we got a bucket of water here. I don't know if you guys can see or not. Let me zoom out. Got a bucket of water right here. Did we get it? Oh! TLF, thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Sorry that you have to leave early. Hopefully you'll catch the replay. It'll be up after we're done. So this is Zona. It's just a manufacturer, Zona. It's actually 3M makes this stuff, and then Zona like rebrands it to their name, Zona, and you can get this stuff at Turner's Warehouse. If you use my link down in the description, I get a little kickback from Turner's Warehouse, a little bonus, and it doesn't cost you guys anything. So always check out my links. They usually Amazon, Turner's Warehouse, and Alumilite links in my descriptions all help support the show. But this stuff is, I want to say, I tried to do kind of a calculation. They tell you what the micron grit level is, and I want to say that this is about 750. I was trying to kind of convert it. It's not an exact science, exactly, really, but I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of like between 600 and 800 grit. So I go with this one first, the green one. And that'll take care of our 400 grit scratches. What? Stefan, thank you. I appreciate it. Super chat. You guys rock. Give this a good dousing there. And then I'm just going to kind of wipe this off with a paper towel just to make sure that I've gotten any grits from that. And then I go with the gray one. And this one, I tried to convert it. It's somewhere in like the 1,000 to 1,200 grit. So I want to say it's about 1,150, 1,100 grit. Somewhere in that neighborhood. And then that's all that I do for polishing, because I finish up with the buffing wheels, and I find that to work pretty well. Although, I forgot actually, we're gonna hit it with the polishing stuff, the magic juice. I haven't turned a pen for a while. I haven't turned a pen, I don't think, since we used that stuff. Well, let's try the magic juice on this and see how it does. Then I don't even have to mess around with changing the camera angle or anything. Or remove this. Now, one thing I am going to do is I want to make sure that I haven't glued my pen blank to the bushings. So before we do the magic juice step, I'm going to just make sure that this thing pops off the right way. The bushings come out. Ricky's here. I don't really like micro mesh. I think it's more expensive. I like the thinness of this. And I never was a big fan of it. It's the same thing, basically, but I like this stuff better, personally. Like I said, a lot of it is just I really like being able, the tactile feel of this compared to those squishy, like, sponge pad things. Micro mesh does make something like this, but it's all a bunch of different shades of gray. Every grit, it's just silly. I don't even know what the point is. So I like this Zona stuff, and like I said, I mean, it works just as good as micro mesh, and it's cheaper. So I mean, that alone kind of pushes me towards this stuff. You can buy it. It comes in like an 8.5 by 11 sheet, and then I just cut out, little strips. So as far as I'm concerned, it goes a lot farther. Also, just because of the way that you can cut it up. But I mean, essentially, it's the same thing as micro mesh, just a different brand. Okay, I think that's probably pretty good. Let's dry that off, and we'll pull out the, and compared to, now the other thing is, so I was talking about if you're talking about why not use instead of this magic juice, this stuff works better than anything that I've tried. It's faster. This was mind-boggling because I really thought this stuff I was going to be like, yeah, whatever, because I don't really like many of these polishing juice stuff things. They never really did anything better. Wasn't faster, wasn't easier, wasn't, cheaper necessarily. Maybe cheaper, but this stuff actually surprised me. This stuff actually works really, really well. So now I can't remember. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that stream because I don't remember what I learned some lessons about how to do this, and I don't know now what those lessons were. So step one, and has anybody used this stuff and knows the speeds? I think I was going too fast before. See, basically, let's see here. It's been a while. Shoot, I gotta turn more pens. I don't know if you need to shake it up. I'm gonna shake it up. Well, yeah, it's numbered on the back, but I cut it into tiny strips. I used it. Stefan, yeah, how do you do the magic juice? I loved it. After those tests that we did, I mean, I was like, this is the bee's knees. So I think you just add a little blob. I'm gonna put my glasses on just in case it wants to fling this stuff around. I think I'm gonna apply it with it off. And then I think you just give it some time. I don't think you need to be going super fast either, do you? 1600, okay, let's speed it up a little bit. I'm gonna go 1200. That seems fine. Seems good enough. And so you just go, maybe wipe it off a little bit. And that was step one. And then let me get step two. The only thing is you got to keep opening these bottles, I guess. But I mean, overall, this is faster than buffing. That was my big thing. Is I was like, is it better, or is it faster than my buffing wheels? Because I get really good results. I thought, with buffing wheels. And you don't need a lot. Now, I would imagine over the long run, having to buy this stuff is probably going to cost a little bit more. Maybe. I don't know. But you only need to, run it for like a few seconds on each grit. And I mean, the polish that you get is ridiculous. I'm only on step two, and that's pretty glossy already, I was impressed with it. It's a pretty good product. I think there's other ones that are similar. I mean, it's basically just a polishing paste. You can there's lots of different polishing pastes out there, I'm sure, especially in the like automotive industry. But I mean, this stuff is meant for pen blanks, so why not? I think it's worth trying out, even if you think that your method is bulletproof. It doesn't get any easier. See, I guess that's my biggest thing is people have tried, they send me some product and they're like, oh no, try this out. And then you spend like 3 months trying to figure out how you're supposed to use the stuff, which an idiot. So what I need is a product that an idiot can do, right? If it's so easy that an idiot like me can do it without even looking at the instructions and get decent results, then it's something worth, looking into. I think that was my biggest thing. Most of the other ones that I've tried, these other products, certain products that I've tried in the past, they didn't solve any problems, and I couldn't figure out, I wasn't even getting good results, And I was like, okay, no thanks. This stuff worked the first time I tried it, and I was like, wow. And it was better. Glossier. We actually did a little bit of if you didn't see that thing, we did it on the stream, and I tested buffing wheels compared, and I mean, this stuff was better. It was glossier in the end. Not a whole lot difference, but I think that it's actually slightly faster than taking everything apart. Oh, I was going to see if I could get the thing off, wasn't it? I think we're okay. One of the reasons I recommend what I would normally do on a pen that I put a CA finish on is before I really start sanding and messing around with the CA glue finish to get that all perfect, I like to try and get my blank off just to make sure, because what can happen is you can get the whole thing done and then end up cracking your finish, and I'd rather not waste my time sanding it and polishing it and then have it crack at the end. I'd rather have that happen right away, so I know that I need to redo it, right then. And the nice thing is you don't have to take it off the lathe. I mean, there was a couple advantages after I was done with it that I was looking back going, I think this is the way I'm going to do at least pens. I'm not going to be applying this stuff on every project, but for pens, I think this is a really good way to go for me anyway. But I do, I would recommend you guys, try it out. See how it works for you too. I think a lot of people would be like, wow, that's not a bad way to go. All right, so final step is number, how many, six? Sixth step. Maybe you should have shook that one up. It was kind of squishy. I'm going to shake it up real quick and, well, just to make sure. I don't want it to be, I want to make sure we're getting the good stuff, the good polishing particles in there, Oh, dropped it. Why is everything falling off my lathe right now? I'm guessing it's not level. That's not good. A little dab will do ya. I'm gonna do one more with this. I didn't really put a whole lot of stuff on. I want to make sure that I'm giving it its proper amount, Sorry guys, I wasn't looking at the comments. You guys are like, no, don't do it this way. It's better if you do it this way. Okay, so we'll get that cap on and stop, and let's get the camera over here so you guys can see the first look. Man, I mean, I'm telling you, it's good. I really like that polished stuff. I like it a lot. I don't know that I would have, not that easily necessarily. I don't think that I wouldn't have got it this shiny. Wow. Look at that. That thing is shiny. All right, Gene, have a good one. Oh man, I'm satisfied. I really like that magic juice stuff. It really doesn't get much easier. I mean, I don't think. And I'm not trying to hawk their product. I don't get any money from them. It just really is that easy, I feel. All right, so let's hope that this thing comes off now without being stuck to the bushings. That's always bad. Okay, so let's move our magic juice. Yep, I gotta be honest, it's pretty rare for me to be like, oh, I love this product. A lot of times I'm like, yeah, it's okay. There's a few products that I do like though. One of them is the negative rate carbide cutter. That was a game changer. That really changed the game for me with turning certain types of things. It made it enjoyable when it was not. I hated hollowing resin projects. I would get catches left and right, and it just wasn't fun. It wasn't even enjoyable turning these things. And part of it was probably my technique that I maybe could have fixed, or whatever. But the negative rate carbide cutters came out, and it's, again, an idiot can do it without any instruction, and it made things a lot more fun for me. Oh, we got one off. Look at that. Oh, that one's kind of stuck. What I do, can you guys see the tailstock thing? Nope. It's really slippery. I got to watch out. What I do is I'll just take and kind of tap the bushing, and that usually, kind of breaks it free. Now, again, you could crack the finish doing things like this, but as long as it's not like a huge glob, that method works fine for me, as long as it's not a huge glob. Now, the next thing that we're going to do, though, because there may be a little bit of CA glue kind of hanging off the edge here, what I like to do is, this is the only use that I have for a pen mandrel. All right, so I just literally, a regular hole punch works perfect for this. So you just take a piece of sandpaper. This is a 180, I think, maybe 240, 240 grit. And I just put a few hole punches in there. And then I just reference it along this shaft and just kind of twist it. And that way the 240 grit will square up that edge again and take off any overhanging, little shards, if there are any. Or even if the CA glue just is just a tiny bit kind of hanging over the edge. The problem is when you put you want to get that off. You want to get that CA finish, back off the edge, because when you press your components on, if there's even a tiny bit of CA glue kind of hanging over and you press on it, you can crack your finish when you're assembling. So I recommend, if you're putting a CA finish on, I recommend you do this no matter what. Just to make sure, because there is absolutely nothing worse in the world than getting a perfectly done pen blank, you know, to this point, and it's all, you know, awesome. And then you're pressing it together and the finish cracks. Like, you're just like, you want to just smack yourself in the head. So, you know, just do that. Make sure you've gotten everything nice and squared up until you can kind of see, you know, there's definitely nothing there hanging over. The other thing that this does is if there was any imperfection in, you know, just slightly off of 90 along the, you know, compared to the tube, then your components should match up even better. You know, you should get a nice tight seal against the components because you're squaring it up again at the end. At least that's my theory. Blow that off and we're good to go. So let's hold on real quick. I got to get the components ready. Components ready. Get the camera over here. And then I got to, oh, we got a problem, guys. I got to figure out how to get the, I'm going to have to switch cameras for 1 second. I need to move the power cord. Oh, what happened? We lose the picture? Seemed like we lost the picture there for a minute. I don't know. Screen was black. I don't know if that's what that means. Hopefully that doesn't mean anything bad. We do have a backup camera though, if we had to. And kind of set up. This is probably not going to be the most amazing view of me putting together the pen. Just going to let you know right now. I don't know. We'll have to see. Okay. Stuff kind of set up. All right, let's try this again. Okay, we're okay. Trying to figure out what the best way to show you guys with that camera would be. Might actually be right over the top. I think this is going to do the best. All right, so again, the pen kit that I used for that I'm using for this guy is called a Sirocco. And it's made by Beaufort Ink, and I got it at Turner's Warehouse. So I'll put a link up in a little bit. I'll give you guys, that's the package. Sirocco. And it's brushed pewter. I thought that was really neat looking. I don't know if it's, there we go. Come on. Can't tell if it's focusing or not. Sorry. It's like a Sierra though. It's like exactly the same thing as a Sierra. Also included in the kit are the way that you need to put this together, I'm guessing, is it's got the transmission thing that we probably need to press in. You just push that into the cap piece and then screw this in there. And then we're going to need to press that on basically. So the way this works is, like I said, same thing as a Sierra. Thing's just basically falling off. I think we got to press that on. We got to figure out which way we want this. I don't know if it's going to make any difference whatsoever. There's just really neat looking patterns. I think I'm just going to try and find. I think I like that actually. I like this area of the pen. So I think we're going to do that. And then let's see here. So I'm going to get that started. And then that. Oh, messed that up. Okay, so hopefully we can get this to work here. Kind of hard with the camera in my way. Maybe I should take out this transmission thing. That's probably what the problem is. All right. Yep. Okay, so press that piece in first, then screw this thing in. Then we're going to press that part on. We're going to have to back a little bit. Easy does it. Yep. Then, I guess I could have done this piece first. Probably would have been smarter. Yep, that's going to be kind of tough. Oh, here we go. Okay, you can unscrew the little tip there. So I think that's going to make things go a little bit better. Now, I don't know if you can see, but it's kind of peeling back. See if this will work. Having a tough time getting it to focus. There's some material coming off in there, like a little bit of metal. There's like a metal ring going on in there. This is kind of hard. There we go. Right in the middle. So what I like to do is I just go over and blow it out. It's basically taking off some of the plating. And I find the easiest thing to do is just blow it away, because you don't want that stuff. You don't want any plating or any material building up in that crack. It's not gonna it won't work well, you know. So I like to kind of go a little bit and then blow out some of the stuff if something's coming off. I've seen that on certain pen kits. Some platings tend to do that a little bit more. And I've almost got it now, but I'm going to go back actually and blow it out a little bit. I'm kind of going in a little crooked here. Should probably pay more attention to how I'm doing this. There we go. Sort of. All right. That took a little bit of doing, but we got it, I think. All right. And we'll pop our ink in. Oh, I forgot to put the spring on. Got to get the spring. Otherwise it doesn't retract. Where'd this, where'd the spring go? There it is. Don't worry guys, I'm on top of it. Not sure if it matters. We're just gonna go that way. Seems like the right, it feels right to me. Okay. There we go. Now, let me get behind the camera so I can make sure that I'm on. That's pretty fancy looking, I think. What do you guys think? Having a little bit of tough time to getting things. There we go. I'm just going to zoom in and hold it down here. Let me get some light on this thing. I think it's a little bit dark. That might be blowing it out. I don't know. One thing about the video feed, the reason that I'm getting a new computer is because this one doesn't have the right connections, so it may be a little stuttery and kind of weird, maybe kind of choppy, but I'm hoping that the picture looks pretty good. That's a pretty good looking pen, I think. Let me zoom out a little bit. I don't know. I like that. Sirocco. That's the kit. I'm telling you, Magic Juice. Magic Juice is my go-to. It really pops. And so at this point now, we've tried it on CA finish. The previous test, what I did was I did it on, and I actually have those pen blanks still. I never made those pens for those. My friends, we tested it out on these Husky blanks. These are some of mine, and this is the Alumilite White, which is a lot softer than Alumilite Clear or your typical epoxies. So it can be sometimes, for some people, if you don't get it sanded well, it can be kind of tough to polish up or look a little bit dull, let's just say. So you gotta, buff it and do a reasonable job to get it to be really glossy. And man, this stuff, we tested it out on this, and I thought that was a pretty good torture test, and I mean, it nailed it. It was perfect. So it works great on CA glue too, obviously, which I kind of figured, but I'm pretty happy. So it's a pretty cool project. The Micarta stuff, and again, for anybody that's kind of just joining the fun and doesn't really know what that was, Leah sent me a bag of fabric scraps. She does quilting. And so we made some blanks. It was the same thing that I made that bowl that was auctioned off for the MS Society. Same material. Basically, it's the same idea as any kind of micarta. And all I did was I just put a bunch in a 3/4 inch PVC pipe and then tamped it down, like squished it down using a resin pen blank. And that's what we got, was this kind of funkadelic fabric stuff. So pretty cool looking pen. I like it. I'm pretty happy with it. So let's see here. Dinner calls. Oh man, dinner sounds pretty good to me right now. Picture looks, yeah, I like the picture on that camera. That's why I bought it. So the good news is like I said, I don't know. I ended up dropping it to 30 frames per second in the hopes that it will work better. I'm going to have to look at the replay type thing. But I hope I had the settings correct on that. But the problem is when I connect it to my computer, the only USB ports that my computer has that work are USB 2.0, which means that the camera can't send signals fast enough for like high definition stuff. Definitely not 4K. It wouldn't even process it. But even for just a high definition signal, it can't really, the throughput on that port isn't fast enough. So I need a new computer basically. Hopefully soon, next Tuesday, we're seeing what Apple launches, and what I'm planning to do is go with a Mac Mini. I think it'll work fine for streaming. And at that point, all of the ports are going to be good. Everything should be a lot nicer. The picture on all the cameras really should be even better. So I'm hoping it'll work out better. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed seeing this come together. I hope I hope you try the Magic Juice thing. I'm pretty stubborn, and I'm telling you that stuff. I really had I was like, I don't know about this. I like my buffing method. I've been doing that for a long time on pens, and it worked fabulous. Like, I have that method down. But the Magic Juice, 6 steps, and I was all worried. I'm like, oh, 6 steps. How long is this going to take? Well, you saw it takes like 3 minutes, maybe. And that's if you got everything going. You're not trying to do a live stream or think or anything. 6 steps, and I mean, the only thing is you need to make sure that you get it, sanded up to probably about 800 grit to 1,000. If you can get it up to that point, and it's 800 grit scratches on there, you can go through those steps, and it's 6 steps, 3 minutes, you're done. You don't even need to take it off the lathe. So pretty good product. So don't forget, guys, we're doing, let me hold on real quick. Let me just make sure this camera over here. This is not the good camera. This is the other camera. But I want to make sure that you guys can see. I'm going to go through this box. So we got an auction going on right now. And it's benefiting the GoFundMe for Braxton Worthland. And so Dan over at Banger Blanks, I got to get one of these guys on my pressure pot, actually. We might do that right at the end here, but I want to mention this. Dan sent a huge box of blanks out to be auctioned off for Braxton Worthland's family. So this is ridiculous. So hybrid blanks, these have rosewood burl in them. There's 5 of these. All right, so we're just going to put those away. A couple of curly ash dye stabilized blanks, huge blanks. There's a couple of red dye stabilized curly maple. Tons and tons of pen blanks. So he sent out, these are kind of like either pen blanks or maybe knife scales. These are stabilized wood. This is stabilized spalted box elder. Pommel something. Stabilized Pommel sapelli. I'm not sure what that is. Curly maple. Bird's eye maple. These are all stabilized blocks. Probably, like I said, for like a knife scale type thing. Aussie eucalyptus stabilized. So you got all of those guys. This is a chunk of Fordite that he cast in Alumilite resin. Fordite. And look at all the Fordite that's in there. I don't even know how much that costs. That's a lot of Fordite in that block. That's pretty sweet. Here's the dye stabilized hybrid. These are all ones that he sent. Pink ivory, pen blanks. Ebony, pen blanks. Paduke, tons of pen blanks. Zebra wood, tons of pen blanks. This is Catalox. This is like he called it Mexican ebony. 3 huge blocks of Catalox. And then these guys are from me. We got a couple of rose petal blanks. One is kind of a bigger 1-inch handle. This one's like a pen blank. These are flower blanks. Random flowers that are kind of like dyed, or maybe not dyed, but just colorful. And then these are the blanks that we made with Braxton's wood that he sent me. They're the super hybrids with the honeycomb. This is a pen blank that's going in here, and this is the block from him, or the wood from him and the honeycomb. So literally, I have no clue how many dollars are in this thing, but there's a lot of money in this. So we're doing an auction. The proceeds are going to benefit Braxton Worthland's family. He passed away kind of unexpectedly. He got cancer and was diagnosed and passed away within a month after getting the diagnosis, and he was only 42, I think. So kind of a very big shocker. He was a great guy. So we're doing an auction for this box, and like I said, proceeds are going to support his family. So here's a link to that. It's on Instagram. Let me figure out where we're at here. There's the link. Please share that with whoever you can share it with that might be interested in a ton of turning blanks. I mean, this stuff would keep you going for months, I think, with all these projects. If you need a box of stuff for like Christmas, presents or sales or whatever, there's a lot of good stuff in here. So share with friends. We really appreciate your bids on this. I do believe, last I checked, I think that the bidding is at like $250, maybe a little higher than that. I'm not sure, but like I said, I didn't even try. There's 45 blanks in here. If you count individual pen blanks, 45 blanks. I mean, even at $5 a piece, like think about how much money we're talking about in this box. So hopefully we can raise lots of money. And like I said, 100%, whoever wins, I'm going to, set up a PayPal to get the money into my account, and then I'll be donating it to the GoFundMe. So if anybody wants to donate to that GoFundMe directly, doesn't really want to, doesn't need turning blanks or anything, but would like to help out, here's information on the actual GoFundMe for him. And is there anything else? Again, one real quick thing. I'm going to be going on vacation between the 22nd of October, and I'll be back on like about the 3rd or so. So during that time, for anybody that's needs to order pen blanks, they will not be being shipped while I'm out of town. I do the shipping. So if you can get your orders in by the 20th on my website, then everything should be good to go. I'll get it out for you. So I wanted to mention that. There was one other thing. What was the other thing? I don't know. If I think of anything else, I will let you guys know. Let's see. Oh, the pen kit. Here is a link to that pen kit for anybody that wants to snag one of those. So again, I got it at Turner's Warehouse. That's an affiliate link, so I get a little bit of a kickback if you use that link, so I appreciate that. I'll tell you what, I'm not the awesome dude. These blanks, like the majority, except for like the last 5, those were all sent by Dan at Banger Blanks. So actually, let me give you guys, I tagged him in my post, like where you could do the bidding. But actually, go follow him, because he was like, no, I want to help out. Let me send you, a box of blanks. And I was like, okay. And then he sent this thing, and it's, I mean, good Lord, there's a lot of blanks in there. So really, most of this is Dan. He is awesome. So I really appreciate his support with this. So there's Dan Mariner over at Banger Blanks. He does some really awesome stuff. Obviously, you saw the blanks that are in there. He made most of those. I did the last few. So hopefully we can raise some serious money with this thing. It'll be awesome. Resin Dragons checking out. Yeah, definitely check out everybody's. Make sure to check out, Doug Pole Barn. Check out Jake Thompson. He's Northside Custom Crafts. Check out Carl Jacobson. I got a lot of links down in the bottom of my YouTube, but make sure to check that out, and check everybody out that's in the chat here. Ed, and who else has channels? Let's see here. There's a lot of people, I think, that have channels, don't they? I'm trying to think. Yeah, if you guys have a channel, make sure to post. I don't know if you can post links, but I can make sure to I can allow it if you want to put a link to your channel. So big thank you to the super chatters. I appreciate that. Every little bit always definitely helps the show out. It goes to cameras and Mac Minis and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's about it. Let's see. Let me just scroll up and see if there's any questions or anything that I missed. Stefan, don't press it in with the transmission in place. Yeah, I wasn't thinking. I'm not used to that, like a Sierra style. Like Sierras, all you do is you just press, like everything's all one piece on the back end, and then you just have to kind of push the front end, and the transmission's on the front. So it's taken out of the equation. So I wasn't thinking about it. All right, so I don't think there's any questions. Oh, you got a channel? Well, shoot. I gotta go follow you too. You know what really is annoying is you can't click on people's names in the chat and go to their channel. I mean, I kind of get it. Like, I'm guessing that YouTube probably doesn't want people going, to other channels in the middle of stuff. Maybe, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it seems like you could open up another tab and go to their channel and subscribe. Like, there's no way to subscribe to people's channels from the chat, which is kind of silly. I want that to happen. Resin Dragon. I'm going to find you. I'm going to go and subscribe right now before the stream's even over. Make sure. Oh, it doesn't come up. I have to filter it out. There it is. Subscribe. Okay, you got another subscriber. There you are. Sweet. All right, cool. Oh, nice. See, Doug's all over the place. He's got everything covered. Sweet. Except yours. Put yours in, man. Oh, you're welcome. I'll check out your channel, see what's going on over there. That's cool. It's always fun to see what everybody's making. Are you on Instagram too? I think you're on Instagram. I might be following you there. I'm gonna have to check that out too. I'm not sure. I'll find out. Anyway, I'll wrap it up, guys. Everyone's like, why are you just doing all this stuff? Doug's back. All right. Well, since Doug's back, we got to show him the pen, I guess. We got it all finished up. Let's see here. Where's the... Here it is. Got it all finished. I think it's looking pretty sweet. Turned out pretty good. And it's a nice looking pen kit. It's a brushed pewter, they call it. Pretty cool, pretty cool. So there we have it, man. There we go. Yeah, Doug, yeah, get yours in there. Whose link am I adding? Doug's? Is that it? Was that the link that you wanted? Nice. Let's see. Cool. On Insta. Okay, cool. I'll find you on Insta and TikTok. Well, I'm sort of on TikTok. I haven't actually done anything there, but I'll find you over there too. So anyway, guys, like I said, that's it. Make sure to go and spread the word on that box of blanks so we can raise some cash on it. Doug, you saw the box of blanks for the auction, right? We got a huge box of turning blanks here. Just in case, I just want to make sure that you know about the auction. I don't want you to miss out. You're the auction king. So lots of turning blanks, and I think that's about it. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching the live stream, seeing this pen come together. It was pretty fun to turn this thing, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm going to definitely do a little bit more with micarta stuff, you know, that fabric stuff. One thing I want to try with it, we really tried compacting it, you know, a lot. And what I want to try next is doing it a lot less compacting. Just kind of shove it in there, pour some resin around it, and just see what kind of results we get. I think it would be a lot easier to set up, you know, which I like that idea personally. So down the road, we'll do a little bit more with pen blanks, and probably I want to do like a really big bowl with a little bit looser amount. Plus, it'll go farther. That was the other issue that I had is you're just stuffing stuff in there, and then you compress it and you end up with like kind of a smaller blank than you want. So hopefully spreading it out and not compressing it so much, maybe we can get it to extend how much of the fabric we use. So, oh nice, you left one. Nice, thanks Doug, I appreciate it. Oh, the resin dragon. That's a good idea. Put the resin dragon up. Let me just go back. Here we go. Here's the Resin Dragon. Sweet. All right, so I think, like I said, we're gonna get going now. I've been talking for way too long. I appreciate you guys' support and for hanging out tonight. And I will see you guys. So we will have a stream next Wednesday, and then I'm gonna be out of town after that. We're going to Hawaii. I know it's a rough life, but we're going to Hawaii after that. So the 23rd through the 3rd, I think is what it is, 20 something like that. I'm going to be gone out in Hawaii, so orders on my site are not going to be shipping during that time. So get your orders in by the 20th on my website so that I can get it shipped out to you before I leave. And then live streaming schedule next week we're on, and then the week after that we're not. And I think I should be back the week after that. I'll let you guys know on social media and probably on the shorts as well. So anyway, guys, I hope you have a wonderful evening tonight to get out in the shop and make something cool and share with everybody on Instagram and all these good places. And I will see you guys all on the next live stream. Have a great night, guys.